And welcome to another exciting episode of Can It Take a K26, the show where I take a variety of blasters and see if they can be upgraded using a K26 spring. I am your host, Captain Xavier, and today we're going to be covering several Star Wars blasters that I was recently lent or given that I probably would have never gotten otherwise. So the first one is the new Han Solo blaster. This is the one that has lights and sound, which is entirely nifty. Other than that, it appears to be exactly the same. It does have the, what I believe is a stock attachment point for the newer stock that comes with the full, more interesting one. But we are going to see if this thing is any different internally and if by any miracle it can actually take a K26. Let's take a look. Okay, well, no. It has the exact, near as I can tell, the exact same spring, which is this weird tapered spring that I do not know why they did that or why that was necessary or what is the story with that. But it does mean that it's definitely not going to take a K26. Plunger tube is surprisingly small for a newer blaster. Now I know they make upgrade springs and there are springs that you can put in here to upgrade it, but I'm not going to bother with that today, though I may someday. And when I do, I will also paint the gray parts black so that this is that much more in my colors, but that will need to wait for another day, because it's late and I have stuff to do. So, get this thing put back together. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Excavation.
Magnificent. It still works. Hooray. Well, that was an unsurprising no, given what we already knew about this blaster, and I would like to get an upgrade spring for it and beef it up a little bit, just because I really like the form factor, the internal magazine, the fact that it's a basically a broom-handled Mauser pleases me, and I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, so I would like to vinyl dye the gray parts black just so that it's more in my colors, make a nice holster for it, and use it in some manner of loadout at some point, because I really like it. And I'll probably use the one that has the sounds. I also have the blue one, but of course the orange one's already in my colors, and it lights up and it makes sound, and that's just neat. Plus it has the stock attachment. I'll have to try to get a hold of one of the stocks. That, I think, would be an even cooler addition, just because, modularity and all that jazz. I like the built-in sight. The other one had it too, of course. Anyway, that's enough for this. On to the next contestant, after these messages. All of the K26 used on this series was donated by Out of Darts. Check out his new website at outofdarts.com for all your Nerf modding needs. Our next contestant was lent to me by one of our local Nerfers. Thank you, Garth. We have the rival Stormtrooper blaster. Pretty sure it's first order. And, yeah, this thing is neat. It's huge. Even in my big hands, this thing is enormous because it needs to have the magazine go up the handle because they wanted to do it that way for some reason, which kind of necessitated the whole thing being built very large. And, yeah, it has a little bitty jam door there. The safety is right there. And what I find particularly neat about this is it is decidedly left-handed. The priming handle is on the left side of the blaster. So if you're bracing it against your shoulder using your right arm to support it, you prime it with your left hand like you would a normal bolt-action rifle. Now, because it is Nerf and it's super light, yes, you can hold it in your right hand and just be able to prime it and fire it without any problem. But that's not the natural inclination. You also really can't reach the safety lever with your right hand as easily as you can with your left. So I found that neat. Now, there are some cosmetic bits that are supposed to go here that I didn't bother to put on because he knows going to be taking it apart. But it's kind of neat. One thing I find mildly just like, why? It has a built-in stock. And I know that is because they are that way in the movie, which makes no sense, because this bit that looks like a foregrip is a folding stock. So, I don't know. One thing that I do think they missed the mark on is that it isn't pump action. If you're going to make this not be a functional stock, make it into a pump grip. I really don't know why they didn't do that. It is a fairly long prime, so maybe they just couldn't get it in there. That could be it, but I don't think it would have been that difficult to make this a little bit shorter and make it into a pump grip. I don't know how easy it would be to do that after the fact, but yeah, there's my thoughts on this. Let's get this thing open and see if it can take a K26. Alright, well, that came apart in a manner unexpected. It may turn out that there's a lot of screws down in this handle section that don't need to come out at all, which is nice, because things like this grip is in fact clipped on there, and if you aren't careful when you take it off, it might not stay on once you try to put... Well, no, I doubt that is the case, because it does have a clip at the top and a screw at the bottom, so it would probably still hold in. But I'm not sure yet if I can in fact get the assembly out without taking it apart further. Well, that answers that question. Okay, so you don't need to take the handle section apart in order to get to the spring assembly, so I'm going to go ahead and reassemble it right now, just so I don't have to worry about it later. Okay, so this is the part we are interested in. Comes apart easily enough. Comes out. Spring can be gotten off. No problems there. As with most rival springs, it seems almost as heavy as, if not as heavy as K26. It's not quite the same diameter, though. Luckily, that shouldn't matter. He says, which are famous last words. Okay, so we are going to make it a little bit longer, which may or may not work out for us. That stock spring gets pretty close to complete compression. Well, potentially. I don't know how far it actually goes back. And it is a looser spring, as it were. It has a higher frequency, lower frequency. There are fewer coils per inch. So, a couple of things we can do to alleviate that issue is, of course, cut off the rounded ends of the K26 that you get from out of darts, if that's where you get them, which is where you should get them, because out of darts is cool. So we're going to cut those end rings off because they don't provide any additional power, and they add a whole coil. So we're then going to go a couple of coils higher, not too many, because compression could be an issue, but we will try with too many, and if it is too long, then we will simply shorten it. If we cut it too short, then we, won't get as much power out of the upgrade, and, well, wouldn't that be tragic? Lovely. I'm kind of betting that's going to turn out to be a not enough compression, but we will not know until we actually fully reassemble. Okay, so make sure that your gears are properly aligned. Make sure everything is in there correctly. Hook on the trigger, the catch, release lever. And let's pop the shell back on and see if there's any chance at all this is going to get sufficient compression. Wow. Okay. It caught. And it fires. I'm impressed. So this currently has 15 coils in it. Now it might be able to take more than that. But at the very least, it will catch with 15, which is several coils longer than the original. Yeah, so that's a full 3 coils longer than the original spring. You might be able to go with a little bit more, but for sure, 15 will work. And it does create a heavier prime. Don't know about FPS or range because it's dark and raining, so you're not going to be able to get those numbers. But the prime is definitely a little bit heavier. Make sure everything is in its proper place. All right, now to button it up. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Anteater.
I feel deeply, deeply moved. This backplate is a tricky one. Take out the screws first and then pry it open a little and it should lift out. But other than that, it's a fairly easy blaster to get open. Let's recap. Alright, for those of you just tuning in or who just skipped to the end to see the results, that was a no for the Han Solo movie Han Solo blaster. This one was given to me by my very good friend Krys, who is the law speaker for the crew, and it is a reshell with lights and sound of the previous Han Solo blaster, which also won't take a K26. But that was a decided yes for the rival First Order Stormtrooper blaster. It was able to take 15 coils of K26, might be able to take more. That's how much I tried in it, which was 3 coils longer than the stock spring, which was quite beefy. I think this one was the stock spring. And it does seem to give it a little bit of a boost. Don't know how much. It's cold and dark and raining, so I can't get a chrono test. But it's definitely a heavier prime and sounds a little bit meaner. And is pretty snazzy. I think I actually have, a rival round I found in the yard. Let's make sure it actually still fires. It's probably an important detail. Oh, yep. And it's got some heat on it. So that is pretty cool. I like the look of this thing. It's huge, but that's okay because they made it to scale, which is really, really nice. I like that it's left-handed. That amuses me greatly. I find the stock on it absurd, but that's for, my own reasons. Anyway, both of these are pretty cool. This one's going to get a paint job and some kind of an upgrade spring at some point, and I'll need to make a holster for it. This one will go back to Garth with the K26. I'll also send back his stock spring in case he decides he wants to put it in there or use it for something else. Yeah, this was a fun episode. I have been looking forward to someday getting my hand on this one. I wasn't really planning to because it's ridiculously expensive, but and it is essentially, internally, it's a Helios, and since the Helios could take a K26, it really wasn't too surprising that this one could. But it's nice to know that it can, and now you know how long, at the very least, you might try longer and then cut it down if it won't catch, but 15 for sure. There you have it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions for future episodes, there may be some change-ups to this my series lineup again next year like I did this year, either to give myself more time or to find more interesting series to do, find out what kind of series you guys are enjoying. The K26 episodes may get downgraded to a single blaster that I do a more comprehensive mod guide on while I'm testing it. We will see. Let me know what you guys think of that idea down in the comment section. If you have any other comments, concerns, complaints, go ahead and put them down there as well. And thank you guys for watching.